Hello, all of you wonderful people out there in broadcast land. Welcome to another amazing episode of Black and White Reviews. My name is Chuck.
My name is Lee.
And my name is Will.
And today we are doing season 1, episode 8 of the Netflix original series Stranger Things.
Greatest episode title of them all, I would say.
Yes.
The Veil of
The Veil of
Shadows.
Shadows.
The Veil of Shadows.
Titled The Upside Down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the most lazy writing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But we're going to go with it. We can't change it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So this is The Upside Down.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going first because I'm the Stranger Things virgin
Yeah, absolutely.
here?
Yeah, absolutely. This is
I say yaps. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm,
this was an episode.
it was.
It was good. I liked it. It was an episode though. I will say Nancy and Steve, that was a throw off for me. Didn't see that coming at the
Well-
end.
I'm not surprised, but I never. Yeah.
It still was it was like
Mhm.
what?
Very. Okay. Yep. Go ahead.
So I'm going to say this. It was the very end of this episode, which we'll get into it, was very AVP for me. Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
The very end of Alien versus Predator.
I don't remember Alien versus Predator or Requiem.
Well-
I feel like they both just kind of.
All you need to know is at the end of Alien versus Predator, when the alien is or the predator is dead on the
AVP,
table.
they were like going down an ice tunnel or something.
No,
right?
let's
And
talk
then
about that.
she grabbed like an alien arm and used it as a weapon.
No, yeah, but I'm not talking about that. At the
That's-
very end of Alien versus Predator, the predator that dies gets brought to the mothership, and he's up in space, and before you know it, an alien
Chest
head
burster. Right?
bursts through his chest.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that's what brings on AVP Requiem. Is now you have a hybrid
Yeah.
of, and the end of this episode kind of gave me that feeling.
Okay.
It could just be there could be a completely different turn, but that's just the way that it felt to me. Overall, I thought it was a decent episode. Are the rest of the seasons like 12, 13 episodes long, or are they all 8?
No, they
Because if they're all 12 or 13, I can understand why they would change the length, because it was pretty quick. 8 seasons, 8 episodes.
The second season is 9 episodes. The third
Yeah.
season is 8 episodes. The fourth
Yeah, it's
season
not
is
much
9 episodes.
Oh, so they're all 8 episodes. Okay. Wow, so they're pretty quick, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this though.
thought they were longer
From
for
what
some
I
reason.
recall, I don't know. I really don't remember because I definitely binged the show. Like when I watched this, it was a binge. It was not a hey, let me just watch this on my leisure. It was like let me watch like 2-3 episodes a night,
Right.
like for weeks at a time, and that's why when I watched the first season, I'm just like, oh, this must happen at the end. Nope, that's probably like 2 seasons from now, and I'm expecting things to be very different, and I'm like, oh, that's how this ended. I thought that was like halfway through the season, but the show's really good. I'm just waiting for it to get to what I remember.
I did experience a little bit of what you guys are talking about, because when you click on the show on Netflix always gives like a preview,
Yeah. Don't.
but it always gives the preview. Like you can't help but not see the preview.
I know. Well, you
But
can,
the preview is always the newest thing on a TV show. So it's
Mhm.
showing a preview from season 4, and it's Dustin with a mullet, and I'm like, that can't be Dustin. But it is.
Mm-hmm.
He just looks like
He's
he's
got the little curl in the front. Yeah.
with a giant mullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, it looks nothing. So you guys are right. the way these kids aged by probably the 5th season now is going to be ridiculous.
It's
Mhm.
wild.
Ridiculous. I've
It
never
is.
seen anything like it. It's crazy. The crazy thing is the girl, what's her name? Billy,
Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie.
yes.
Millie Bobby
Millie
Brown.
Bobby Brown.
Yep.
She's gone on to do a lot more things other than the other kids haven't really.
You know Bobby
Yeah.
Brown. You know Bobby Brown tried to sue her.
Why? Because
Tried to sue her because
Yeah.
her parents gave her a name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't sue her.
I actually no. I don't
She
think
didn't
that.
make that
I think
decision.
I think that might be her stage name. I don't know if that's her real name. Is it?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be. It would be a weird stage name.
Millie Bobby Brown, English model.
Yeah.
Millie Bobby. Is it Millie Bobby or Billy Bobby?
Millie.
Millie.
Not
Millie
Billy Bobby. Millie Bobby Brown.
BBB.
MBB.
I know, but
Market Basket Brigade.
overall, I'm more intrigued that, my one question is there really only one monster in the Upside Down? That when it came out, what happens, and these two people can actually, go through it without having any issues. There's just, I don't know. My biggest thing was the whole Nancy and Steve thing. I didn't like that.
Well, yeah.
It is what it is, but I just didn't like it. I was like, I could have done with a different twist in that, but because now he wants to change. But I mean, comparative to what you guys have seen for the last 3 seasons, does it get crazier from here? Does it kind of maintain the same feel? Like,
Both.
Think of it like I always, when I talk about Marvel stuff, I always say, like, we started off with a very much more down to earth, like Iron Man. Okay, guy's rich, he's got money, he's super smart, he can build machines. Okay, all of that is like, I mean, it's still out there, but a lot more believable than Thor and Doctor Strange.
Right.
It's not mystical. It's just like, dude's
Science.
rich, got science. Okay, cool. This show is very much like that, where it's like they gave us the introduction to the weird, and it's going to just continue to get weirder the more and more we understand what's going on, the more
Yeah.
and more involved things get. And I think that's good with any good storytelling. Let's start to build the world and get people hooked on just like, here's an appetizer to what you might be getting into. And then once you bite the bait, then they say, okay, now that we've got people mostly hooked, let's just take them for a ride. And I feel like that's what the show does. They focus on that, like, give them a little bit, just enough to, like, okay, is this going to work? And just, I mean, you've got a pilot episode. This is a pilot season. Does this perform well? How far can we take this? Okay, they liked it. Let's take them the rest of the way through. So that's really all I can say without giving you too much. I'm not going to say it gets insane and nuts and like, oh, wow, I can't believe that. But it does continue to grow.
right.
As you get more understanding of the characters, you get more of an understanding of the Upside Down and what's going on in it,
What a name.
everything else. Yeah. So
I will say this. You get the building blocks for everything that happens later on down the line. This is the first season is very much like a solid foundation for the rest of the show.
yeah.
And I do agree with Lee. Things don't get mind-blowingly crazy, but things escalate in a very
They
Right.
progress.
yeah.
I feel like Will's going to be a bigger role in this than we
Will? Oh. Okay.
will.
Me?
I thought you meant Will. No, Byers.
No.
He means
Oh.
Will Byers.
Oh.
The
Well, because of the way they ended it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like they're making it seem like there is way. What it seems like to me is the average person that goes into this place does not last long. Well, he lasted a long time, and
This is true.
the 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 stuff that like falls in the sky, like ash or whatever it's
Mm.
called. You know, there's something that changes part of his DNA that makes him something different, and that's now gonna be exposed into our world. And yeah, it almost feels cliche, but I'm not willing to say that it's going to be like cliche and tropey, but it feels like it could be. Is this one of those things where I could, if you think about it for 2 seconds, you can figure it out, or does it give you enough twist where you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming?
Yeah, I've said in the beginning, there aren't many twists here, but um, there are backstories that are continue to be filled in, just like we saw in this whole season, where we get the whole Papa thing, where she's in, the hospital, the lab there, and
Mm.
you get more of a backstory. I mean, anything's good like that. Again, we were talking about this earlier. Is I'm playing through Jedi Fallen Order finally, and as you're going through it, you start having these flashbacks of when you were training with that Lasat, who was his Jedi master. And it kind of fills in the gaps as you go. They continue to do that the entire time through this series. So that's not really giving anything away. That's just like that's the format
It's
that they
just
follow.
right, it's their format.
Because they're telling two stories when they're necessary. Oh, in order for you to understand where this is going, you need to know the past. So I feel like not a lot of things did that until like 20 years ago. They started having these two stories that were going on kind of simultaneously to fill you in. Because before, when you watch something and like, let's do a flashback and then like give you all this, or let's start the movie off when they're young and then build up, like
Right.
or something,
Right.
you know. But a lot of things are doing this simultaneous.
They're
story
doing well what
building.
Boba Fett did not do so well with.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
A panther.
No,
Yes.
Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett tried to do this whole concept because there was 40 years, 30 years of like, we don't know what happened to this side character from 35 years ago.
Mm.
So they had to fill in the gaps, and they just did not do it well.
Well, I mean, nobody. Well, okay. There are people who asked. There are people who wanted to see, hey, what if he got out? And then, like, what would happen to him? And how did he get here and there and whatever? But the problem is, nobody wanted it to be this story that we got.
Right.
And that's the big issue. Nobody wanted to see him be completely good and completely turn everything around because he had some experience with these ruthless, like beasts that live out in the desert that somehow you can have compassion for now. Now, there are books, there are stories that are in the extended universe that give you an insight into what things were like for the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders, where you even have like conversations back and forth that they're having in their own language, and you start to get an understanding of who they are and what they were doing. What was the book I just read? The actual Obi-Wan Kenobi that the show is not based off of. There's a whole thing where half the story is all about these Sand People, and they're having conversations back and forth, and then there's some type of understanding near the end where Obi-Wan and a Sand person both speak basic and communicate to each other, which is like, what? That would never happen. But it was never put in there. Instead, they put Boba Fett in there to have a conversation. And it's just like, Sorry, I went off at a tangent on Boba Fett, but yeah, they didn't do it well because nobody wanted to see the character go that direction, and they did.
Right.
This is good because it has a good balance.
And I like that. I like that it's a backstory on one person and not everybody.
Well, yeah, nobody else has anything interesting going on except they live in suburbia and everything was fine and
Right.
dandy until things started getting nuts.
Yeah.
But he's not really her father, though.
No.
No.
Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, okay. No, we don't know who the father was. It was probably Palpatine, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So.
No.
So.
No. No.
You know what? It could. I mean, we still have a whole season 5 to figure that out. They could.
I know.
They
We've
could
never gotten
write
to
in
it.
a father if they wanted to, but
They never do.
It was Papa the whole time.
oh. Okay, Joker.
Is that you, John Wayne? Is this me?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the relationship building between, as we talked about last time, Hopper and
Joyce.
Joyce.
Mhm.
Joyce.
Hello, Joyce.
Hello, Joyce. The triangle, I still think if they end it here with her and Jonathan and it's just done, that's just weird.
Yeah.
I'll just say the way they clearly ended it, it was nothing definitive there. You can see that she was just kind of falling into her circumstances.
Kinda.
It's very clear. She did a very good job expressing that in her body language and face and everything. That clearly she was just settling into what seemed acceptable to the situation.
So, to Will's point, trauma bonding.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going on a lot on this show.
Does it continue?
It's kind of like a theme.
Well, I mean, there's a reality to trauma bonding, but sort of to a point. I remember when we got into our big car accident years ago, I was with a group of friends, and I'm just like, wow, like we're gonna be pretty tight after this because of what we just went through. But the reality was, I don't live in Mass anymore. I hardly have any opportunities to see these people anymore. And for like 6 months, we talked a lot, and now we don't even know. Like, oh, you have 2 kids now. Good for you. Like, we don't know anything about each other's lives. We're not in
Right.
touch. So trauma bonding will, depending on the situation, can create some really long-lasting relationships, or they could just not, because lives change.
Right.
You know, after my accident, we had a lot of things change in our lives, and a whole new lifestyle and a whole new world. Yeah, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no or where to go or say we're only dreaming.
Oh,
But
boy.
here we are.
So, what are your overall thoughts so far through this first season, Will?
I've never seen him wear overalls. I'll tell you that.
I know this is like a rewatch for you, but still, just like your thoughts.
What are you going on about overalls? What?
He said, "What are your overall thoughts?"
Oh. Now I
Ah.
get it. Okay.
Another opportunity to
Really?
slip in.
I'm sorry. I had to.
So they do a
I'm not
thing
sorry.
at the end of this episode that I absolutely hated, that we're going to get more into in spoiler territory, but they do a thing that I don't like. Up until that point, this is a halfway decent finale for a pilot season of TV, for a
Oh, yeah.
first season. I really didn't have a whole lot of issues with the way that any of the characters left off. I think that for some characters in particular, there was a nice, neat little bow that was put on everything, and it's like, okay, that's where this character is moving forward. Maybe not.
Neat enough for them to have a few months off of paying attention to them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh man, how deep do I want to get on this? Like, I like that the show begins with introducing, these kids, and it shows like the innocence of childhood, and they want to get their friend back and blah blah blah, and they go through the whole rigmarole, and they, spoiler warning, I apologize, they succeed, and here's Will. While at the same time, they open up all these other doors that they're still completely ignorant to because they're children. Like, everything that Hop has to go through from this point on is wild.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Mhm.
I love where Hop's character kind of leaves off here. To a point.
I love how his character had to go through what he went through in this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Like, that was, without getting into detail, it was amazing, because I honestly started crying a little bit when I saw like what was going on in his mind as he was dealing with these circumstances and scenarios in front of him. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay, like what a situation to be back in, or to be in, that's gonna remind him very closely of what he already dealt with.
Right.
But then, kind of like I go back to Spider-Man: No Way Home, where you've got Andrew Garfield's redemption at the end when he saves MJ, and it's like,
Those
are
are
you
my
okay?
exact thoughts.
Are you okay? Are you okay? Like, that's exactly how I felt watching this, and I'm like, okay, yeah,
You're
that's-
amazing.
yes.
Well,
So yeah, I
With
really
that
don't have
being-
I really don't have a whole lot to like say that's non-spoiler, because
Right.
this is a show that's really difficult for me to do the non-spoiler thing with, because I know everything.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
real quick then. So that's great. So we've all kind of shared a little blurb on what's going on. So we're going to head into spoiler territory now. If you want to catch the rest of us on video and see our amazing, beautiful faces as we have this conversation, find us on patreon.com/black and white reviews. Other than that, we will also be on all of our podcast sites for free. So
But big thank you to our patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting us.
yes,
Because we couldn't keep going because we need your help.
yes. And you can
And
join
we'll
us
want
for
your
as,
money.
you can join us for as low as $3 a month, and there's a lot more on there. So
Send us
with
money.
that, yes. So Will, what is
Okay.
your first?
All
thing?
right. All right. So